Hi, friends. I promised all 14 of you that I'd do a proper introduction, explain why, how, and where we'll be building our long-term home. In the last video, we went over some of the work that was done to our lot, and in this one, I hope to describe exactly what our land looks like so that we can have a good baseline to gauge any progress we make or fail to make, I suppose. Time will tell. I want to start from the beginning, though, to try to explain how we even ended up in this position, meaning how we even ended up looking for land and trying to build a house in our mid 20s. A long, long time ago, last October, we started looking for a plot of land to build our house. Our calculation or reasoning was pretty simple. Our rent costs kept rising, and we realized that the money we're spending on rent would be approximately the same as a mortgage payment. It is cheaper to be in rent, of course, but in our case, it was not by much. It was a few $100s a month. This was the biggest single driving factor that pushed us to start building or to start looking into building our own house. We didn't want to burn money for years and then have nothing to show for it. And we also didn't want to buy an already built house because it's more expensive that way. So here's some simple math. Hopefully I don't screw this up. We started renting our apartment in September of 2020, and I'm recording this in May of 2022. So the total number of months we've lived in rent is 22 months. This includes the month of June, which we're about to pay. Our rent when we moved in was $10.95 a month, and then last November they bumped it up to $1,200 a month, which even for our area is very cheap. The average rent is about $1,500 a month, I would say. So here's the calculation. $10.95 a month times 22 months equals $24,090. And then the price difference as well is another $840. So the total dollar amount we spent on rent for the past 22 months, $24,930. Of course, I understand you can't really make the cost of a shelter go to zero unless you're homeless or someone else is paying, like your parents or the government. But we found that it's comfortable in rent, and we're nervous we'll end up in the same situation we're in 5 to 10 years, during which we pay anywhere from $75,000 to $150,000 just to live in someone else's home, which is kind of crazy. Also, I have nothing against people living in rent. It all depends on your situation. Some people want to have less stress in their life and not have to worry about the hassles of owning and maintaining a home. But for us, it seems like a wise investment, and that's why we started this whole process. That's why we started looking for land and trying to build a house. At that point, around October of last year, like I already said, we decided we were going to start looking for land and a way to finance it. The problem was, as you know, land is a good hedge against inflation generally, and there was almost nothing on the market, at least here in Washington. People from out of state were flooding into the area we live in and buying everything up without ever even seeing what they were buying. Anything that would come on the market and not sell instantly would automatically seem suspicious, like there's something wrong with the lot or there's some hidden costs associated with it. It was a pretty sucky situation, but I'm a free market guy. Like if people want to buy real estate and they have the money to do it, more power to them. We just had to change strategy if we wanted to buy land, and my brother-in-law gave us a tip that ended up working out for us, which I want to share now in case it helps somebody else. He told us that he was also having a very difficult time finding land to build, and he ended up just driving around town and looking at empty lots in the parts of town he'd want to live in. And he eventually found the lot he's now building on right now. And he said the previous owners lived on the East Coast somewhere and inherited that property from their parents. And they ended up selling it to him for like $10,000 less than his offer. We used the same strategy, though, and marked out about 15 to 20 different lots around town. When I say marked out, I mean marked out on a map. We drive around and I'd mark potential lots on an app called Onyx Hunt. You can obviously use any other map you want. We would then come back home and I'd write letters to the owners of the lots. If you're wondering why I wrote letters and how I'd get their home address to send them the letter, let me demonstrate quickly. Say you're looking for real estate in a city in Washington, say Camas, Washington. It is very easy to find out who owns what and a whole bunch of other information, actually. Let me show you how. First, I'll find out what county in Washington Camas belongs to. Then I'll just Google something like Clark County, Washington GIS maps and click on the first link. Then I'll look for something like property or county maps or land records or something like that. Here it is for Clark County. Prove that I'm not Mark Zuckerberg, and boom. I can click on a lot and get a whole bunch of information. Parcel numbers, property location and address, most recent sale, and even amount. And for me, very importantly, the owner's name and mailing address. The information listed here didn't include phone numbers, which is why we sent out letters, if you were wondering. Some of the lots even have pictures. Just to show you that it's just as easy to find maps for another city, let me look at real estate in eastern Washington, say Liberty Lake. I know Liberty Lake is in Spokane County, so I'll Google Spokane County GIS maps. And bingo, here it is again. Now I have the information I need to contact the current owner. Also, GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems. That's why I add it into the query. Like I said, we sent out about 20 of these letters, got a few calls back from people telling us they weren't interested, but most people didn't even respond. I even included stamps in the letters we sent so that they wouldn't need to buy their own. RIP. That's pretty much what I did to get in touch with the previous owners of our lot. They didn't respond when I sent them a letter, though. So I did some intensive Googling and found an email address of a business they owned, and then sent them a short email and pretty much forgot about it. And a few weeks go by, probably they check their business email, and then we get a call from the owners. I actually didn't even recognize the number, so I didn't pick up because I was at work. But thankfully, they left us a voicemail and told us to call them back. It was about their land. They named a price they were willing to sell it for, and we had no negotiating power since they clearly didn't need the money. And they said if we wouldn't buy it, they'd just give it to their daughter or something like that. The asking price was kind of way out of our comfort zone, but we consulted some people, we asked around who knew the area, and we got positive feedback from them on the price and just the general lot. Now let's go over some of the factors that influenced our decision to go ahead and buy this lot. First of all, the lot is beautiful. The evergreen trees and the pine trees on the property are my favorite feature. And I'm super grateful that the previous owners planted them and took care of them. There's a whole drip watering system already installed, which saves me so much work. And we also tapped into it to get water in a hose. Another reason why this lot is perfect because it's less than half a mile away from my parents' house, which is just the perfect distance in my opinion. Not too close, but also close enough that if my mom makes some good pilimeni, I can easily get to her house in about half an hour if I jog at a high rate of speed. Another reason we love this lot enough to buy it is that it's in a very established neighborhood. This was the last empty lot. There's also only one entrance to this neighborhood. There's no through traffic of any kind since it's surrounded by fields and a little stream on one side. Also, a huge deciding factor for us was that the lot already had power, water, and a septic system installed, which we were told costs about $20,000 to install on your own. So this lot was literally all we could ever want in a property, and we're super grateful to have been able to buy it. The size of the lot is a little under 2 acres. It's about 175 feet wide by 370 feet long. There's also a gentle slope, which kind of forces us to do either some major excavation or to put in a basement. If you watch next week's video, you'll see which option we're going to end up going with. We're also going to live about 200 feet away from a fast-moving stream or a little river. Like I mentioned, I grew up very close to this area, so I feel really blessed that our future kids can also explore the river just like I did growing up. There's so much more I can say about this whole process, about the past few months. It's still fresh on my mind since it all happened this year. I'll leave it for the next few videos, though. I don't want to bore you too much. Anyway, thank you for watching. We're really excited to start building our forever home. Well, heaven is our forever home, but our long-term home. And hopefully I was able to convey some useful information, something you can use in your own life. That is all for today, though, but we will see you next week with the first draft of our house plan and some other exciting details. Until then, bye.